Buenos Dias Gunners Collective. Back at it? You already know. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Here goes another one. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Guard. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Real. Another one. Bye-ya. 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 All it is, you can tell by that thumbnail what you just seen. This is as real as it gets, man. This is my first time ever getting off on a general population yard in the state of California. Now, for the most part, when I tell you these stories, these are all things that truly happened to me, real life stories. Google it, that's it, right? If you have to fact check it, do what you does, but remember, at the end of the day, it's all factual and actual, no added preservatives. Now, in a menudo style, in a direct fashion, I remember this day, and I remember it so clearly. This day was like no other, because up until this day, prior to this date, I had never had a fight in the California prison system. Now, I had done pegadas. I had been involved in melees. I had been involved in different things, but I never got off where I was mad at on site, because we all know about the politics and the rules and regulations, and you can't just do that, especially when it crosses racial lines, or especially when it's someone else, from the other side or something like that. You just can't do it. But then there's sometimes that you have to do what you have to do. See, there's some instances where you must get off where you're mad at. Guard! I'm going to do what I does, right? And I definitely took the initiative to just do it right then and there. And there were some repercussions for my actions, absolutely. But when everything came push to shove and everything was found out and everything was on the table, ¿sabes qué? I was right. That's just what it is. Now, I remember I got to Tracy prison and I had picked up a case on the streets. I was out there DO hunting. I was out there looking for non-actives. I was out there putting in the necessary work and doing what I did for my group and my people and for myself. I took the initiative to go out there and handle it. I took the initiative to go out there and do what I does. And in the meantime, in between time, I caught a case. So I remember taking a deal for 4 years, and I said, good, I'm out of here. I'm not trying to do the county jail thing. I'm not trying to stick around and kick on back. I'm not trying to do none of that. Send my ass to the pinta. Let's go straight to the prison. I'm going to hit that yard. I'm going to do what I does. And I knew for a fact, man, that I was on the next one smoking at Tracy, DVI Gladiator School. Of course, me being from Merced, the Central Valley, that is our reception, or was in them times. So I knew that's where I was going to end up. Now, one thing about our county jail is we have different places that they'll put you. We have active Norteño blocks, downtown. We have active Sureño blocks or Southsider blocks downtown. And then there's a general population, which wasn't that the people weren't active, it's just they kept mostly blacks and whites and others and people that weren't really north or south. North and south was segregated and kept apart because if not, there would be sangre. Oh yes, there will be blood. And that's just how that is in my Merced County jail, right? And it was like a revolving door for me. I was in and out of that motherfucker. Everybody knew me. I'd get cleared right off the top and let's function. And it's a whole bunch of burpees and not a lot of food. It was bad. So anyways, I remember when you would go to court, you would pass by other people in court, or they kept them, distant from us. There was a place called Sandy Mush, which was out in the country in El Nido. This was the place that if you were doing a jail sentence, or your minimum custody, they would send you out there. Or if you had a heinous crime, a weirdo crime, a Chomo crime, there was a bubble out there that they would send you to. They'd throw you in a yellow suit and you were in that bubble. Now, back in them days, this is before dropouts were just the predominant group. They would send a lot of weirdos to the bubble and a lot of deals to that bubble, and that's just where you went. So every time we happen to see someone in a banana suit, a yellow suit, something similar to this color, we already knew, get off where you're mad at. These guys were in for no good crime. They were garbage, trash, right? So this individual, Jeffrey Todd Eastman, I remember him. Not only do I remember him from the streets, but I also remember him from prison. And the reason why his name jumped out to me and I knew who he was when I seen him in that bubble when I was walking past Sandy Mush was this, and this reason only. This vato, his father was a detective. His father was known as the fastest detective on 2 feet. Hey, if you ever did a crime, if you tried to steal a fucking candy bar from the dollar store, you weren't getting too far messing with Jeffrey Eastman. Everyone from Merced knows from way back in the days, this vato's going to catch you. He's going to run and run and run. He was like Flash to my Slowpoke Rodriguez. He's definitely on his Speedy Gonzalez shit. He was just fast. And I never really knew about his son. So growing up, I was a few years older than his son. I am going to YA, not really knowing about this kid. When I got out at 18 years of age, I started to hear about him. I had a homegirl that used to mess with him. So she used to tell me about him, that he was real weird. He liked being around her kids. He was just a little too playing and touchy-feely with their children. And she felt odd about it. And I said, yup, I'm telling you right now, if he's touchy-feely, you need to touch him with the fucking bottle out the door. Get out of here, right? He's definitely not the one for you. And she distanced herself. Now, this was the first homegirl that came in contact. You got to understand, my city in the Central Valley is not very big, so everybody knows everybody. So his name started to circulate that he was a bad creature. He was a bad guy, and he liked to do weird things to children. But no one had paperwork and no one had proof, so no one knew exactly, other than he was an odd fellow and that he was this detective's son. And people didn't like him just based off of that, right off the rip. He wasn't getting no love. So anyways, I'm doing time in the county jail fighting this case. And prior to fighting this case, I had found out that this individual right here had did some weird shit, and he had ended up doing a few years for that weird stuff, right? He ended up, you know how it is, man. They do their weird thing, and then they catch it just a few years, and they get so many chances. They get the little slap on the wrist, and then they get right back to it because they're sick in their minds. Anyways, he did that, and everyone in the town knew. You didn't need fucking paperwork. We all knew what it was, what he got incarcerated for. The name circulated, and it was like, if we run into this guy, we're going to run over this guy. That was it. So I remember being in Sandy Mush for a minute and seeing him in the bubble wearing that yellow banana suit. And I just looked at him like, okay, one day we'll be together. Yes, we will. Yes, and yes, we were, right? So anyways, I ended up catching my case, taking my deal. I took 4 years with 85% and a strike, and boom, they told me get on down the road. And next thing you know, I'm over there in DVI Tracy. Now they put me on H-Wing. For those of you that don't know what H-Wing is, there was H, there was J, there was East Hall, West Hall, there was X-Dorm, Z-Dorm, there was K-Wing. There was all kinds of different places that they could place you. I was in general population with a lot of Norteños function, active like, right, on H-Wing. And I remember getting there and getting cleared and taking care of everything I needed to take care of. And hey, Holmes, I'm from Merced. This is what it is. I had a couple of homeboys there, a couple of good righteous camaradas. In fact, I just did a spiel. They jumped old boy, snatched him up out of his car and took it. They were actually there. Them two same individuals, right? We were always in prison. Anyways, one of them was on J, one of them was on H with me. So we're kicking back, right? And the makeup of DVI, Tracy, these buildings are so long. They're stacked 3 high. Long fucking tiers as far as the eye can see, right? So you don't see everybody that's in there. If it's a homeboy, you're getting a roster with someone's name on it. You could actually be in Tracy and hardly see anyone unless you go to the yarda. But everybody knows in Tracy and reception, we're constantly on lockdown for pegadas, for removals, or whatever the case may be. So you hardly run into your homeboys. Like I said, you could be on the same block with the homeboy and hardly ever run into him unless you guys happen to go to the infirmary together for some testing or whatever it is. There ain't no visiting, so you ain't got that coming, right? And you definitely got no canteen coming. Not a lot. So anyways, you're doing what you does, cuz. On power rule, you're just stuck like Chuck. But the function was real. The activities were real. So I remember we were just coming off of a lockdown with the white guys, with the Woods. Yes, the Woods, brother. We were always on lockdown with the Woods. You got to understand, again, they segregated the Southsiders and the Northerners. So it was just us, Woods, and Blacks. A lot of Crips, a lot of Sangres, a lot of Kumis. Well, not too many Kumis, but the ones that would come from the Bay Area, they would be right there. So I remember this particular day was going to be our first yard, and we were all hyped. Me and my celly was from Sacra. We were hyped because we hadn't hit that yard in a minute. It's been a minute since I was up in it. You know what I mean? And I actually had a term, so I'm just doing what I does there in reception. Then I'm going to go hit a linea. And this is where I was sent to Susanville from this place. I was still active doing my thing. This is before the red and red occurred and all that mumbo jumbo, right? So trip out. I'm actually walking out to the yard. Boop. Don't. I'm getting my vocalization onto the yard, and there's still a little tension there. The white guys, we're going to have to get at them, the ones on the yard, because we weren't necessarily going at it with all white boys. We were going at it with one group, which were labeled the Wolf Pack. And a lot of these guys were already supposed to be checked into protective custody or eradicated from that yard by their own people, right? But again, one could slip through the cracks because people slip through the cracks in reception. And that's the moral of this story, right? And if we definitely see one, then guess what? Guess what was going to happen? You ready? You hold? We're going to go back on fucking lockdown. That's just what it was going to be like, man, because that's how it is. And it sucks. It sucks to say that you have to live that way, but that's part of prison. That's part of what the wiggle is. You know, be out one day, in tomorrow. That's just what it is. Hey, no sentiment for you. Sorry, no tortilla. Your ass is going to definitely be getting that motherfucking, the honey bun that comes in a pack. Or what is it? A muffin? The brand muffin? That's what you got coming. So that and cat food. So I remember it was me, my homeboy from the town, and a couple other homeboys, and we were walking this track. Now, anyone that's ever been at Tracy prison, it's probably one of the biggest yards in California history. This yard is so goddamn big. It's as far as, hey, you, right, way on the other side of the yard. As far as the pinchy eye can see, it's a big, gigantic yard. And on your, when you first come out, K-Wing is on your right, which would be the oil, and you could actually see the yard of that right there. On your left would be these handball courts. They're all up against the wall. Kind of looks like American Me and Old Folsom. It looks like that. Now, straight ahead, there's a tower in the middle of this yard. And if you go way to the back is where everyone functions and kicks it at. There's bars. Now, the right side of the bars was for the Northerners and others and blacks. Blacks were pretty much in the middle. And then on the left side was going to be, away from us, the woods, right? There wasn't too many woods there at this particular time. But we were definitely going to go get at them. One time for their mind. Now, I don't know about you, and there's a lot of things I can't tell you about the yard and the way the movement goes for Norteños, but there's a lot that goes into it. You're just not enjoying your fucking self. You're not just kicking back. Your antennas are wiggling everywhere. That's just the way it is in prison, right? So I remember we're walking this big track, and one of the rules that we had, rules and regulations that I can tell you, was we used to take a couple laps around the track. This gave you perfect timing to count everybody, to make sure everybody was where they needed to be, and at the same time kind of trip out on who's there. Again, remember, this is a reception. So the wiggle is people are in and out. People are constantly leaving. You could have had homeboy 3 days ago and that vato ended up in high desert. So you just don't know. And you could have had more homeboys come in and you got, you know, I mean, there's just a lot of things that you got to do. It's fucking work. Some people hated yard. I like the sunshine, but at the same time, if it was raining and it was a little drizzly, keep my ass inside. I ain't trying to do burpees in the rain. Now, as I'm walking this day, and now we're going to get into the meat of the story and this weirdo, right? As we're walking, I don't know what this guy was thinking, but it's me and like 4 homeboys, and I hear him say, hey, NA, right? Again, the S-A-N-A stuff. Back then, the brothers, or especially the brothers from up north, they know the difference, so they will call Northerners NAs. Some of them will say SAs, but a lot of them will say NAs because they've been in youth authority or they've just been around the block and understand, or have been incarcerated around Northerners and function with them to know that a lot of the younger generation and a lot of the Northerners call themselves NAs, right? So he was like, hey, NA. I didn't pay no mind to it. I thought he was talking to someone else because usually if I don't fucking know you, you're not right there beside me, I ain't got no words for you. So I'm still mobbing. The mobilization is definitely real, right? He's like, hey, NA, Merced County, NA. So I turn around like, what's up, bro? He was like, hey, I know you from the county. And I said, what? Now, there was no way for us to really know each other from the county because, again, like I said, unless he was a Norteño that was black, we didn't function on the same pods. You know, they were in general population or the bubble, to which he was, right? We had our own block. So when I turned around, I'm like, what's up, bro? And he was like, yeah, hey, I know you, right? And he was walking with another brother. This brother was kind of a fat dude, and his hair was a little fucked up. He looked like he needed a little bit of a shower, right? But I mean, he was probably in good state. He just didn't know what was up. He found out later, within about a minute, right? So the dude was like, hey, I know you, right? And I said, you know me? What's up? Now, I'm already on a soft defensive stance. I have 60 because I don't know what this guy does is, you know, if he's posing a potential threat to me, like, you know me, but I don't know you. And if I don't know you, you go about to know me. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those things. I'm not too hard for the radio. I'm not super hardcore. I'm not the best with the hands in the world. But at the same time, I'm not going to let anyone say they know me. You know how it is when you're living that gangster life. You know who you know, and that's it. That's it. Anyway, so I'm kind of looking at this individual like, what's up, bro? And it hits me. Jeffrey Eastman, right? The weirdo. And when I see him, our eyes lock. And now we're within about 3 feet of distance because I had walked back on the track up on him. And I see him and my eyes pop open. No. Or I want to choke the shit out of him. And his eyes get big like, oh shit, I should have never said nothing to this Mexican, right? I get off. My instinct was, because in the county jail, because we were kept segregated from these guys, and these guys stuck out like a sore thumb with the yellow jumpsuit, it was always embedded in our, embedded, like some weird shit. That's his shit, right? It was always embedded in our mind and indoctrinated in our mind to get off on these guys in sight. If you ever got a chance to cut one of them, hurt one of them, spit on one of them, do something bad to one of them, get off on them, right? Anything, any damage you could do, because these guys had bad crimes, heinous crimes, crimes that are unfathomable, unspeakable. And I definitely knew that this dude did. So in prison, it's different. You know, there's got to be paperwork. You got to let his people deal with it. My people got to talk to his people, and his people got to talk to their people, and all the people are speaking, right? But let's say I ain't got time for all that. You know, I'm in reception, and my whole mindset was get off where I'm at, and I know for a fact, 100%, this vato is wiggling in a bad fashion. boom, 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 boom. He stumbles back, not expecting that. He expected a handshake, not the earthquake, right? So boom, when he falls back, I rocked his Richter scale and I'm on his shit. Aftershock, 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 tremor. You feel that? How about this one? Shake him up a little bit. His homeboy hits me from the side. Boom, the fat dude. I was like, God damn, that brother could hit him right there. Smells like shit though, right? And I start to fall back and my homeboys are on him. Boom, 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 boom. Brothers start to run. There's like 3 or 4 brothers start to run. About 6 or 7 northerners start to run and a melee ensues. Boom, boom, down, down, down. We're getting off and I'm on this guy. Boom, 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 boom. And now I'm conscious that we're kind of close to the tower. Damn, I'm going to get shot at for a chomo, right? But I'm still going to get mine. If I'm going to get shot at it, it's going to be a good one. Orale, right? Boom, boom, boom. This Vato's already at it. He's doing the fiddle and conjunction like Humpty Hump. The Humpty dance up to me, baby. Yeah, no, you do kids, baby. Boom, boom, boom. I'm on him. Melee's fight. Everyone's happening. It's going down. Get down, get down, get down. Cops come out. Beam, beam, beat us with the stick. Bam, they start snatching us up, cuffing us up, taking us immediately to the hallway. Now, anyone that's been to Tracy will know that there's long hallways, corridors, man, to these different buildings, right? So they place all the northerners, they separate us from the blacks. They got the blacks there and everyone's looking like, down, the whole yard's down. People are shaking their head. They're mad at me. And I was like, oh, hell no, I was about to say drop level. They say, why? I'm about to get dinged all bad because I took flight. Now, the homeboys don't know exactly what it is, so they need a question. They're going to question everybody. So I remember getting back. They didn't put us in the oil. They didn't put us in the oil. They just separated all of us. There was no weaponry found. They placed us all back in our buildings, right? And the northerners immediately went on lockdown, at least for the time being. And of course, wheelers are flying. People are getting at me whopping, Holmes. Whopping. What the fuck you do? You so scared. I was supposed to hit some dips, eh? And that dream just flew away, right? All because of you. And so I explained myself, and I remember them saying to me, hey, bro, we're going to really need to get at you because on the next yard, when we do have yard, because you need paperwork, Holmes. That crosses color line. You can't do that. Now the Africano brothers are tripping. I remember that some of the Africano brothers from Modesto, from I think it was Oak Street, they were tripping. Like, hey, man, why you jump on old boy? And I said, man, that dude's a chomo. I don't care what anyone said. They're like, nah, there was no way for him to slide through the cracks. I said, I don't know why they brought him here, but I'm telling you, he's a legendary chomo from I was about to say the hood, from the neighborhood, from the area, and I know that fucking Vato, right? Anyways, come to pass, clippings get sent in, people find out he was, right? They had placed him in the wrong place. Like I said, in reception, people could easily slide through the cracks, and that's what it was with him. Now, trip out on this, right? I am going to do my prison term. It is what it is. I forget all about him. Like I said, it was my very first fight. Hey, there wasn't no butterflies. I wasn't tripping. It was what it was. You know what I mean? Just get off where you're mad at. Now, as long as I'm not having to do fucking burpees and being DP'd, I'm happy. You happy? I'm happy. It is what it was, right? So now I get out. I get out and I forgot all about this poop butt. He had, like I said, he had picked up, I think on this term, I don't know how many years he was doing because he ended up catching 1, 2, 3 term. Trip out on this. So I have a homegirl. She's hella fine, but she got 11 kids. I don't know how she kept it tight like that because when I heard it, I guess she was about 6 deep and it was all right. It smelled a little funny, but it was all right. You know what I mean? Anyways, we used to chop it up all the time back in the days on social media. And I remember seeing him as a friend on a certain platform as one of her friends. And I told her, hey, man, that guy's no good. She goes, that's crazy because I chop it up with him all the time. He's such a nice guy. So now he's manipulating you, man. He targeted you because you got 11 of those little motherfuckers, right? I'm telling you right now, this guy is no good. I started to run her down the situation. I go, where's this dude anyways, man? We tried to pull up, right? She was like, nah, just, let it go. Leave it alone. I said, just stay away from him. Later on, she calls me, man, I looked him up on Megazol. Thank God. I didn't even know. I was like, I told you so, right? So trip out. I'm running this story down last night to Dubs. I had forgot all about this guy, but I decided I wanted to talk about my first, I don't know if you can call it a removal, but my first fucking fight on an active GPR, because anyone knows that you're in prison, you don't use these. Mostly you use this, right? So to get a one-on-one fight or even to kick it off like that, you just don't do that. There's a lot of hesitation. There's a lot of things that go into it. Like I said, Northerners were not allowed to fight each other. It just didn't happen a lot. Fights didn't happen. There was always weaponry involved. So we started to discuss it, and I remembered the guy's name, and I looked him up, and what do you know? Oh, you know what I mean? A couple years ago, he got caught for his third time doing this weird shit, and he was sentenced to 280 years. Y'all seen it right there. 280 years, right? Got him. These guys tend to keep repeating themselves and doing this, man. And I don't know why. I don't understand why, but it is what it is. At least I got my hits in, and there's about 3 of his teeth on the right side. If anyone ever does time with them, you're a weirdo too for doing time with him. And you look close, this whole liner right here is that guy gone with the wind. Orale. You know what I mean? There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Pay no attention to the man who knocked your teeth out on the whole right side behind the curtain. It just is what it is. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the story. That's all facts. That's all true. That's all real. I hope you guys stay tapped in and tuned in as I'm going to start dropping some more exclusive content a little bit better. Hope you guys like the new way, the new rhythm, the new way, the new vibe, what I'm bringing. And that's just what it is. With that being said, up that you move with a purpose, get everything that you want coming to you. Remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the struggle of strive and the strive to struggle. Go out there and get it for your gente and for your people, man. If you like this, hit that like and subscribe. There's a notification bell. It says all. Turn it right there. And don't put that thumbs down because heavy is the head that wears the crown. Or you can if you choose to. I don't give a shit. At the same time, man, just view my content and understand, man, that everything that comes out of my mouth is real. The vato's name is Jeffrey Latad Eastman. Google him, ese, if you don't believe me. Bang, bang.